Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Elizabeth Holmes. Starting July 1st, loan service providers started the process of reaching out to borrowers to start their 90-day deadline to switch from the Save repayment plan. But not everyone's deadline to switch will be the same. Enterprise reporter Destinee Patterson speaks with anchor Ashley Rowe about what borrowers need to know.
Destinee Patterson, you have been doing so much reporting on this story. Once again, let's just break things down. Starting July 1st, the loan providers were supposed to start reaching out to people. Let me now hand it off to you.
Yes. So it's important to know that July 1st, I think there was a lot of confusion about that date. A lot of people were thinking that they had to switch by that date, but that's actually not what has to happen. You're going to start hearing from those loan service providers telling you, hey, it's time to switch. And that is when your 90-day clock starts. So it's going to be individual. Everybody's timeline is going to look different for that reason.
Now, what about there are a lot of people who are writing into us saying, I haven't heard from my loan provider yet. We're now halfway through July. Did I miss something? Has my 90-day clock started? What can you tell them?
Yeah, I think the main thing is I would honestly say, view it as you have a little bit of extra time. Once your loan service provider reaches out to you, for the most part, they're going to be reaching out to people via email. So you want to keep an eye out on your email, whatever email address you have registered with your loan service provider. And some examples, because we have heard from the Department of Education, they've been kind of sending out notices about this, but this is different. You should hear from, AidVantage, Nelnet, whoever your loan service provider is, and that's different than the Department of Education because they're just sending out blanket statements to everybody saying, hey, this is coming. So essentially right now, if you haven't heard anything yet, it's a waiting game, and just make sure that you're keeping an eye out so that you don't miss anything. Once you hear from them, then they will tell you your next steps in terms of switching plans.
I want to touch on two things. And just to give, if you're watching, just to give you a clear picture of what you can expect over the next few minutes, I want to talk to you, Destinee, about what rights borrowers have, and then also what are our borrowers' options. So let's first start with what rights borrowers have.
Yeah. So I talked to the Center for Responsible Lending. They are an advocacy group. They also do a lot of research, and they have been very involved in this topic. And so in terms of rights, the main thing here is to kind of watch what the communication is. And if you feel like the loan service provider is acting in a predatory manner in some way, then you can file complaints with either the Attorney General's office, the Ombudsman's office. You can also reach out to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And then that way, all of that is documented, in the event that things need to escalate.
That's really smart. Okay. Okay, so now let's get to what are people's options.
Yeah, so obviously the SAVE plan is over, so people are sitting in this forbearance period. But in terms of income-based options, they have a couple of options that they can choose from. They have the repayment assistance plan, they have the income contingent plan, the income-based plan, and then they also have the pay-as-you-earn repayment plan. So I know that sounds like a lot of options, but we do have a story, and we talked about this on another podcast that breaks down each of those. So that's its own separate discussion. But if you don't choose something within that 90 days, then you're going to get put in the standard plan or the tiered standard plan, and it's not as income based. So it just limits your options if you don't pick something within that 90-day window.
So worded another way, if you don't pick one of those other options, you're going to wind up in that standard one, and that standard one might wind up costing you more per month than your other options could be.
Exactly.
What are the experts saying about whether you should try to jump on this and be proactive or just sort of sit back and wait for that email to come in for that 90-day sort of start?
Well, it's really a mixed bag. And a lot of what I've heard from experts is, it depends on your individual situation. Some are saying go out, get ahead of it. If you choose something now, then you'll be able to kind of start that budgeting process and make those changes right away. Others are saying, let it play out. Another thing to note is that the SAVE plan is also in the middle of litigation. And so there's also that element of, the uncertainty of if things could change once again. So I think it depends on who you talk to and your individual circumstances as well.
Has the Department of Education said at all from your reporting whether they will start to enter the picture at a certain time? Have they given these loan providers X amount of days to get everything sorted out with their customers?
That's a good question. It doesn't sound like the loan service providers have a deadline per se. It just was that they had to start reaching out to people by July 1st, and that's what they have done. But, if you take Nelnet, for example, they have explicitly said we're going to reach out to people in waves. People could hear from us as late as March of next year. So, that's a huge difference of what people were initially thinking.
Wow. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay. So those are the options. I have a question for you. Full disclosure, I went to college in Canada, so I don't have firsthand experience with this, but I know that many people who are watching this do. Let's say you miss this email because you mentioned that this loan provider is going to likely be emailing you. We get a bajillion emails in our lives, right? And we also get a lot of spam. And so people are starting to tune out of email. Let's say you miss the email. So that 90-day clock has started without you even knowing about it. Do you get automatically put into some sort of program?
Yes. After the 90 days, you're going to get put in either the standard plan or the standard tiered plan. And essentially, if you choose on your own, then you can kind of look at it and say, oh, well, maybe I'd save more money on this account, or maybe my goal is to pay things off faster with this repayment plan. So essentially, if you don't make a selection on your own, the Department of Education is going to do that for you, and that just limits, obviously, your options and your ability to have a say-so in what your payment is going to look like. The thing, for the most part, is that most people, regardless of what plan you use, the price is going to go up. The monthly bill for this is going to go up for most people, and I think that is the thing that is really scary for a lot of people. So, the federalaid.gov, on that website, they have a loan simulator that you can go in and you can kind of see, oh, this is about how much my bill would be with this plan versus this plan. So, regardless of if you choose now or you wait until you hear from your loan service provider, then you are able to kind of get a feel for what that could look like whenever the time comes.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Remember, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Spotify and Apple Music. Follow the show so you don't miss an episode.